Mehdi Hassan, please step forward. Everyone's been waiting for you.
I'm worried about how one-sided it is too. I know Paul's been whistling away, but Paul, there's about 5 of us on our side and 3 on their side. And by the way, Paul, I've been to countless debates on fox hunting and there were no foxes on the panel at all. But I'm joking with you, Paul, I'm joking. I don't want to talk about WikiLeaks. It's too much WikiLeaks stuff, Julian, with respect. I don't want to talk about Julian. I don't want to talk about me. I don't want to talk about Paul. I don't want to talk about Philby, Burgess and McLean. I want to talk about a man named Joe Darby. Joe Darby is a high school graduate from small-town Pennsylvania who joined the US Army Reserves at the age of 19 and was posted to Iraq at the age of 24. In January 2004, completely by chance, he was accidentally given 2 CDs containing hundreds of photos taken by US military guards at a small prison called Abu Ghraib. Darby switched on his computer, put the CDs in. He saw Iraqi prisoners hooded, gagged, forced to perform sex acts on each other, with electrical wires tied to their genitals, being threatened with dogs, being attacked, sodomized, raped. The US investigating officer Anthony Taguba said those pictures showed torture, abuse, rape, every indecency. By handing over those CDs to the US investigating officer, Joe Darby, to use the lingo of the military, or to use Bob's language, ratted on his friends, on his fellow soldiers. And when he ratted on them, he was immediately in fear for his life because they weren't arrested, those guys. They wandered around the base with weapons. He went to sleep with a pistol under his pillow. When he went back home to see his wife, he was told that they had to sell their house and move town because it was no longer safe to live there anymore. He had to be followed around by 6 armed bodyguards for 6 months. He eventually quit the military. All because he decided to blow the whistle. Because he helped us, the rest of the world, uncover one of the worst crimes perpetrated by the US military abroad in recent years, and there are a lot to choose from. Darby was asked by CNN's Anderson Cooper in an interview, "Do you wish it wasn't you who'd been given the CDs?" He said no, because if they'd been given to somebody else, they might not have been reported. "Would that have been a bad thing?" said Anderson Cooper, to which Darby replied, "They say ignorance is bliss, but to actually know what they were doing, you can't stand by and let that happen." You can't stand by and let that happen, ladies and gentlemen. That is what whistleblowing is all about. And that is why it is so important. And if the opposition side want to argue today that whistleblowers don't make the world a safer place, that they risk lives rather than save lives, instead of pulling out ancient examples from history about spies, perhaps they should all book a ticket, fly to Baghdad, and tell the inmates of Abu Ghraib prison that whistleblowers don't matter. They have no impact on the world. They don't make the society we live in a safer place. I would like them to go and talk to those people and say Joe Darby shouldn't have blown the whistle. He shouldn't have come forward. He shouldn't have spoken out. Whistleblowers perform these invaluable life-saving tasks in many occasions. And remember, let's be very clear, and Bob's coming, I'll take your point in 1 second, I just want to clarify before you make your point. Bob goes on and on about traitors. Traitors, spies who went to the Soviet Union and sold secrets. I'm not sure which dictionary Bob uses. That is not a whistleblower. I'm not here to defend spies. I'm not here to defend leakers. I'm here to defend people who speak out against dangerous, dishonest, or illegal activities. That's who I'm here for. Who are you here for, Bob?
I'm here to be entertained by some of the speakers this evening. The comparison of the man who turned over the CDs of Abu Ghraib and a person who violates an oath to secrecy is a very different thing. The man who turned over those CDs, he had no oath that he was breaking. He had no responsibility to an organization to keep silent. He behaved in a way he should. And for you to compare that with someone who swears to retain a secret and then breaks that oath is wrong.
Well, thank you very much for that point. I'm not sure that I'm not sure we ever came along to have a debate about people who swear oaths and then break secrets. I thought we were having a debate about whistleblowers, and I believe Joe Darby is a whistleblower and is proud of being a whistleblower. Paul, with it or without your whistle, I'm not going to let you in. But listen, this is a debate about people. This is a debate about people. This is a debate about people. It's not, and actually Paul's there. Paul didn't take any oaths to protect HWAS. This is not about oaths. This is not about swearing little secrets or signing documents. This is about people who speak out, as I said, very clear definition. People who speak out against dangerous, dishonest, illegal activities. And it's not just about politics and governments. Let's be very clear. It's about big business and corporations too, for example. Take Jeffrey Wigand, who was vice president of Brown & Williamson, the US tobacco company, portrayed by a rather pot-bellied Russell Crowe in the film The Insider. He raised the alarm over the nicotine that was used by his company. He was fired, he was harassed, his children's lives were threatened, but he saved lives by becoming a whistleblower, because Brown & Williamson were then forced by the US government to reduce the carcinogenic ingredients in their cigarettes. On his evidence, there was a $236 billion case against big tobacco. The US Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, said Dr. Wigand's assistance was central to the FDA's investigation into the role and effect of nicotine in tobacco products. I don't know, Bob, whether Jeffrey Wigand stood and put his hand up when he joined Brown & Williamson, but he saw that they were killing kids, and he spoke out. And thanks to him, again, our world is a safer place. Now, in a perfect world, of course, we wouldn't need whistleblowers. We wouldn't want whistleblowers. But, surprise, surprise, we don't live in a perfect world. Shock horror. We live in a very imperfect world where our governments and others lie to us repeatedly. They engage in corrupt backroom deals, they break the law at home and abroad, and then they demand our trust. Our trust. Year after year after year, lie after lie after lie, and then they say, well, you don't need whistleblowers. Well, stop lying to us, and we won't have any whistleblowers. Show me a government, democratic or undemocratic, Western or non-Western, which hasn't been involved in cover-ups or abuses of power of some shape or form. I remember John Reid, the Labour minister, telling me, trust me, I've seen the intelligence, the weapons are there. The weapons weren't there. Sir David spoke very eloquently. Sir David was working in the Foreign Office when his boss, Jack Straw, was going around to Downing Street to say, and I quote, the case for war against Saddam is thin. If only, as Julian pointed out, we'd had some whistleblowers back in 2002, 2003, who instead of going to chat with Andrew Gilligan in a bar, had come and told all of us, the public, about those dodgy dossiers and those weapons of mass distraction. We would have hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqis still alive today, had we had those whistleblowers then. And in an imperfect world, we need whistleblowers. In an imperfect world, we need whistleblowers until perhaps a day will come when governments and intelligence agencies and media apologists will own up to the level of deceit, dishonesty, corruption, and cover-ups in our public life. And just to conclude, if you want any more evidence of the import and influence of whistleblowers, just look what happens to whistleblowers. If you want to know who's on the right and who's on the wrong, just look what happens to the people who blow the whistle, especially on their own government. Look at Daniel Ellsberg, who was prosecuted, threatened, and blackmailed by the Nixon administration, which wanted to have him, quote, incapacitated. Mordecai Vanunu was held by the Israelis for 11 years in solitary confinement. He's still not allowed to own a mobile phone or access the internet. And Bradley Manning, of course, is being held right now by the Obama administration in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day, where his underwear is taken from him before he's allowed to go to sleep at night. And I'm amazed that people on the right are so fearful of whistleblowers, the same people who go on about the big state, big government, evil bureaucrats, and yet when whistleblowers come along to put power in our hands, the people's hands, they get all worked up and say, this is outrageous, this is wrong, this is going to destroy the world. No, whistleblowers empower us all by exposing the truth. And brave people like Joe Darby, Jeffrey Wigand, dare I say, Private First Class Bradley Manning, make the world a safer place. For their sake, not for my sake or Julian Assange's sake, for their sake, I urge you to back the motion, and I beg to propose. Thank you very much.